Euler, he named this entire domain as Geometria Citus. So there was no graph theory in the beginning. This was the name which Euler gave to it. So Geometria Citus meant geometry of positions. Over a period of time, it became converted into graph theory. So it was back in year 1736 when Euler discovered this problem. However, the first book on graph theory came 200 years later in 1936. So that was the time from when people started studying graph theory. In graph theory, mostly you study the networks which are very organized and very simple, maybe something like a complete graph, binary tree, bipartite networks, sort of things. But when we talk about complex networks, they are a bit bigger graphs, not a bit bigger, a whole lot bigger graphs, which you generally observe in nature, and they have millions of nodes. So they look something like this. This is the network of World Wide Web. There are a whole lot of networks out there. To name a few, so you would be knowing about Facebook and Twitter. They are example of networks. You have semantic networks, citation networks, collaboration networks. People study all these form of networks: ecological networks, economic networks, even friendship networks, trust networks, crush networks. There is a whole lot of variety to it. So today, rather than talking about networks, we'll talk about something else. Now, first, when we talk about the study of networks, so what is there in a network to study? Can you think of something? So assume that I give you a very big graph. Let's say it's a graph of the friendship network on your institute. What would you want to see in it? Let's try to keep it interactive. I have this data with me and I tell you in your entire institute who is a friend with whom. So what all would you want to infer from such a network? You can even type. Okay, we might want to see the important nodes, which person in this your institute network is the most popular one or who is the most central one. Okay, edges. You might want to look at how many connections are there in this entire network. Okay, friends network, maybe certain other properties of networks. So generally when we talk about this study of networks, we look at, okay, okay, Mananpreet says to understand the kinds of decisions that can be taken about these nodes. Yes, very well. So we are going to talk about that today. What more? Anything more? So whenever we talk about the study of networks, we talk about all the structural properties, inter-batch friendships. Yes, so assume I have a batch here, I have a batch here. So mostly you'll see connections in between within these batches, but once in a while there'll be connections across these batches. So those are your inter-batch friendships. Okay. You might want to look at the diameter of this network, how dense this network is, and a lot of other stuff. So a lot of work has been done in that direction. What we'll be looking more today about is what these networks do. So definitely these networks have a structure, but of what use is that structure? Networks doesn't only have structure. There are a lot of dynamic processes happening on these networks. So let's take a few examples. So it's a brain network on the right hand side. If you see, I can consider the nodes to be neurons, and all these neurons are interacting with each other by passing electrical impulses. Whenever you look at the edges in any network, these edges are carrying something, and we call that diffusion. It can be anything which might be diffusing. So in the case of a brain network, these are the signals which are diffusing. In the case of a computer networks, where computers are connected with each other, it can be a computer virus which is diffusing, jumping on from one computer to the other. In the case of a bank network, or let's say when you are talking about diffusion of money, so there can be money which is being transmitted from one bank to the other, or from banks to the persons, so on and so forth. There are a lot of diffusion phenomena which happen. What we'll be restricting ourselves today is the diffusion in social networks. What kind of things can diffuse in a social network? Can you try to name a few? If we talk about a social network, what actually can be passed on from one person to other with the help of connections? Information. Yes. We all do that on a daily basis. Rather, we are doing that right away. Anything more? We have a lot of stuff which goes from one person to another. Definitely information. And why we are having this information transmission in the online mode? It's because of corona. So diseases, they also spread from person to person. Few more things, as you can see here. So it can be a disease, it can be a rumor or an information, even certain behaviors like obesity, smoking, and altruism, they spread from person to person. So if your friend is obese, your likelihood of becoming obese increase. If your friend is smoking, because of peer pressure, the probability of you smoking rises, so on and so forth. What we'll do today is we'll organize all these diffusive processes in two parts and then we'll study them separately. So these are the two parts we are going to